Hey everybody, I'm Morgan.
And this is Ryan.
And we're talking chitty. And this is our very first podcast.
Yay! So we finally joined the AV nerd world, and yeah, we're pretty excited about this.
What?
Took us how many days to set all this up, research it?
Almost like a week.
Yeah.
You know,
it's pretty quick if you think about it.
It is.
We kind of just jump into things.
You know, okay, he says that, but we do this. I mean, our whole life, we always have these really fantastic ideas. And now we've learned over the years to think about what we do before we actually do it. So that's good. And we go through all the whole plan. We go through the bad and the good and the ugly. So the podcast, all we could think of was positive, and I think it's going to help our communication too. So I'm excited about it.
I think 2 days just alone with this mixer.
Yeah.
The most, what was it? The most quick thing that we figured out was why we couldn't hear our headphones. It was one button.
Yeah, I had to do some researching on the Mac and get all this stuff to figure out. But you know what? I mean, if we can do what we've done so far, I mean, we can figure out a damn soundboard, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
so,
yeah.
Morgan, who are you?
Well, I am a badass bitch extraordinaire.
I like it.
Babe for short. And I run the blog, the CrabsHomesteaders.com. I try to keep up with it. I kind of suck at keeping up to date on articles. I'm better at social media, and this podcast is really going to be us talking about everything instead of having to write about it. And I really enjoy helping people. I really enjoy helping others and living a different life and doing things other people aren't doing just to show other people that you can do that. So I think for me, I mean, I'm always down to learn something new. I'm a college graduate. I'm a mother of two beautiful girls. We're actually going to have them on the podcast on a later episode about schooly kids and tiny house kids and things like that, people on the road. I have learned to, other than business and management, my prior experience, I have learned to weld and do electrical, figured out solar with the help of some really awesome people, and helped my husband build the house of my dreams. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting excited. So I think it's, I think in a nutshell, I mean, that's who I am. And I love living intentionally, and I love living deliberately and knowing what and where my place is on this earth. And I look forward to building a future for my kids through these experiences. So yeah, that's me. And Ryan, what do you think about you? I mean, who are you?
Well, I think highly of myself, but who I am. Yeah, I'm a father of two beautiful daughters, husband to a beautiful wife. I am by trade an 11 Bravo. So I was in the infantry. I was with the 172nd Stryker Brigade combat team. We were stationed out of Alaska. We were the group that got extended 24 hours before going home. And we actually had guys touch down on the runway and then take back off again back in Alaska. So I am Renaissance man.
Yes, he is.
Master at none of these trades, but I like tinkering. I like figuring things out. I like fixing things. I like problem solving. I actually want to create something called a problem solver's badge and start giving it out to people just as a funny joke, because I think people forget how important that is to be a problem solver. And absolutely. I used to not be a problem solver. I used to just be told, hey, you go do this. And okay, I'll go do that. But when you actually get to jump outside of the box that you're stuck in and learn to solve different problems, I think it's great. I worked offshore for about a year, maybe a year and a half, in ultra deep water, and enjoyed doing that. And then also a college graduate. Yeah, I mean, that's me.
He wasn't a college graduate before the Army. Let him know that you worked for a living, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Non-commissioned officer is what I was.
Yeah, Sergeant Crabtree in the house. So basically, you know, that's a rough background. And if you guys follow us on social media at all, you'll see our introductions that we do kind of throughout the years, kind of letting you guys know where we're at in our life. And basically today, I mean, I wanted to touch on the main topic of the main question that we get asked all the time is, you know, first off, who we are. Like, because they're, they don't really understand the way we live.
And if you are listening to us, you have to take your right hand, put it on your chest, and turn it to the right because you want to turn that sensitivity knob down.
Oh,
okay?
God, yeah. We will offend you. That is a promise.
And not on purpose.
We are just going to talk like people used to talk. I don't know. We're not very PC. You don't have to listen either, but I hope there are.
We hope you do, though.
Yeah, we want some like-minded people.
We hope that this becomes your safe space with this aggressive couple.
Yes, we are making a tribe, you guys, and we know some things, and we know a lot of people that know a lot of other things, and we just want to bring all of these great minds and these great problem solvers to this, and really create something that we can all take something away from. If you don't know how to do electrical, we're going to talk about it.
We have a lot of good mentors.
Yes, absolutely. And
we, Morgan, have been very fortunate on our adventures.
Yes.
We have so many different mentors with so many different backgrounds, and
it's been amazing.
Yeah, I'm thankful for that.
We would not be here today if
Fact.
we weren't open-minded enough to take the advice that was given to us.
To be a sponge.
And to also know when to not take that advice.
Yep.
And that's kind of a huge thing, too.
No, it is.
Setting your boundaries, but being open to learning. And I think that's the main thing we even want to teach our kids is always be learning. You're learning every day. Just because you're not in a classroom doesn't mean you can't learn. And I think we all forget that doing any traditional schooling and such.
We tell our kids, do not consume your future, build your future.
Yes. Yes. There's
enough consumers. We need builders.
We do. We definitely
So what do you want this podcast to be,
So,
Morgan?
like I said, like the main question we get asked all the time is like, why did you guys decide to sell? Oh, like the actual podcast.
That was the question, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to edit that out.
Or just keep it.
So the actual podcast is going to be about, like we said, we want to bring all these great minds together. We want to be able to problem solve and maybe teach each other something. We're not going to say the way that we say is exactly right, but
Nope.
we're going to say that this is what worked for us.
We have made many mistakes.
My God. And we're going to talk about what didn't work. We're going to talk about regrets.
You know what? Speaking of mistakes, I hate to interrupt you,
No, it's okay.
but
Go
so
ahead.
the beginning of this morning, okay, I was down $140 in the market. Okay?
Yikes.
Yeah.
I wish I had sound effects right now.
So,
I haven't figured that out yet. That's coming soon.
Yeah, I was down I think it was $142. And again, that was my biggest problem. I opened my eyes, boom, I'm down $140. So I had to problem solve. How do I get back that $140 out of this market that I am very much new to? Well, I'm up $13 now.
So something he forgot to mention, even we recently got into, we were in crypto investing last year, and that kind of got us into the stock market investing, and we've been learning and using Robinhood. We'll have, if you go to our social media sites, we'll have our Robinhood links on there where you can join and try to get free trading. We're taking advantage of that. And Ryan has been doing really great reading technicals and fundamentals, and we'll even do a podcast.
I've been doing really
about it.
great reading.
Maybe we could get Ricky
I've been
Gutierrez
doing
on here.
meh with actual investing. So
Yeah,
today was like a monumental day actually to be able to turn a profit after losing 150 by
Absolutely.
making some trades. So
And Ryan has to play from behind. He's
yeah,
even playing
I'm that kind of a poker player.
When we were like 19 years old, and we had like no money to our name, he was an E-nothing in the Army, and we would have these poker games around every pay period.
Yeah, every 2 weeks.
$20 buy-in, winner take all.
Ooh, that was a
Texas
steep
Hold'em.
buy-in back in those days.
Oh, it was. So if he lost, we didn't get to do anything that weekend, probably for that whole month. That like cleaned us out, that $20.
And what did you tell me one day?
And I told him, I said, he was losing. He was losing at these poker games. And I said, look, if you lose one more time, you're not doing this anymore. Like, we just can't afford the $20.
Can't afford this $20 every 2 weeks.
It was too much.
Yeah.
That was our freedom. So, but when he would win, which he started doing after I told him that, he started winning.
I didn't have a choice.
He would win about $100 in a weekend, and we would take that. And we were living in Alaska at the time. It was our first duty station, and everything cost so much money up there. So we would go. There was no dollar menu at McDonald's. It was the $3 menu.
Yeah, seriously.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I forgot about
It
that.
was the worst place for newlyweds.
Because we were looking for that
money.
dollar menu.
So
I think gas
we
in
would
Mississippi
go-
was what, $1 at the time, and
like
it was
$1.80.
$3 at
oh
in
my
Alaska.
God. Yeah,
it
now
was
that's
ridiculous.
normal. So anyway, so we would go to McDonald's, the last Frontier McDonald's, if I might not add. And then we would get our Big Mac meals, and we would get a double cheeseburger, and we would also get to Blockbuster, and we would rent 6 movies, the limit.
Fuck Blockbuster.
You know what?
Sons of bitches.
God damn, like we lost so much money to Blockbuster. Like all those fucking late fees, dude.
Always.
Never an end to the late fees. Okay,
Be
so
kind, rewind. Sorry, but the question was to you, what is this about, right? And you were talking about bringing people together.
Yes.
Just different trades, different crafts, different small business owners.
we want advice. We want to hear from these people.
We want fun advice.
We love listening to other people. We've kind of always been mentors to a lot of our friends as far as like marriage goes, which I have no idea why.
Yeah.
But for some reason people look up to us, and we have all kinds of problems, but we've made it the last 16 years, and I think
we
we're
made
gonna
it.
be okay. We should get a fucking like ring, like a Super Bowl ring. Like if you make it so many years, like you should just get a ring.
Yeah.
Is that my millennial entitlement, or is that like
maybe. Who cares?
People always talk about it. So
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, so we hang with people of all ages. Our neighbors were in their 60s,
Yep.
and we had some amazing conversations with them, which I know have influenced me
Sure.
in the way that I think, how I actually keep and make friends. The guy I'm speaking of, Mike, he would tell us, impress me. And if that person doesn't impress
That was his
you,
criteria for meeting a new person.
yes. And all of our mentors have impressed me.
Yeah.
If you have nothing going on and you have nothing to teach me, you know, I'll be your friend and stuff, but I'm probably not. If I can't learn anything from you, then it's not a very valuable friendship to me.
I'm not going to hang out with you.
Yeah.
If I can't learn from you, I'm not going to hang
We
out
should
with
be
you.
able. Here's the thing. There's friends there's this
Have
lower,
a hobby, people.
There's a lower level of thinking when you get with somebody and all you can do is talk shit about people.
Yeah.
When you can sit down and have a conversation with somebody and like be creative and like make something out of it, that is what this podcast is about.
Sure.
I might talk shit about some people. No, I won't. I won't talk shit about people. But I'm just saying, like, we wanted a space where you can just come and creatively talk and think and speak and build from that. We're not saying this is right, but we're saying that this is a direction that instead of bitching and having this terrible news on all the time, how can you create your future?
How do you build it?
How can you control it? How can you take your life back in your hands without being too self-helpy? But it's just recognizing your emotional intelligence, recognizing your financial intelligence, recognizing where you are at realistically in your life, and then building from that.
Because everybody can teach anybody something. But you have to be in touch with yourself enough to understand, hey, I do have something to offer. I used to be like that. I used to think I knew absolutely nothing. And it wasn't until I started working with my hands and wanting to do small business, wanting to actually interact with other people that were better than me. And that's the thing too. You have to interact with people that are better than you. If you ever find yourself being the smartest man or woman in a room, get out of that room.
Yeah.
Walk away. Turn your back on it.
That's not your tribe.
That's not your, no. Just you're going to learn nothing from them. So, and that's why we like to, what's the word? I can't think of it right now. Challenge ourselves.
Absolutely.
We like to challenge ourselves and be uncomfortable. So we live an uncomfortable life because we like to not be the smartest person in the room.
Absolutely.
That allows us to interact with people smarter than us.
And people would call it uncomfortable, I guess. I don't think it's very uncomfortable because I believe it's something that, that I built. You know, we built this. So basically what we're talking about, if you don't know, Ryan and I took an old school bus and we turned it into a tiny house. And that was actually after we downgraded all of our things and minimalized our lifestyle. We edited our life and took out a lot of bills.
So why did we do that, though?
You know, I think the main thing, and that's kind of leading to that podcast, the title of it is, you know, why we decided to sell most of our stuff is being able to...
That's the title of our podcast, why we decided to sell all of our stuff?
Oh, I meant this podcast, or this episode, I guess I should say. This episode. So, yeah, why did we decide to do that? And like Ryan had said, his previous experience was the military. We did move around a little bit. We were in Alaska, we were in Texas, and he worked offshore. And then I was working a corporate job at University of Phoenix. I was selling degrees to students, and I feel like.
And business is booming.
Yeah, everybody can get a degree. Come on down to this place, and we'll sell it to you.
So we had a house fire,
Yeah,
and long
there you
story
go.
short, to just get into this, we had a house fire, and luckily, we had I think 1 terabyte hard drive,
Yeah.
and it was in our kitchen. For whatever reason, we moved it from our bedroom to the kitchen.
And the hard drive had.
Why that was important was because the kitchen was the least affected area of the house fire, even though it was 100% total loss house fire.
Right.
It started in the chimney, the attic caught, and boom, we lost everything. And I still remember to this day, it was the funniest thing ever. One of the detectives came, and I'm watching the house burn. I'm just standing, arms crossed, and just looking really relaxed. And the guy goes, "So, hey, what happened?" So I tell him the story. He just looks at me funny, and he walks away. Then another detective comes, and he walks up, and he goes, "Hey, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, why wouldn't I be?" He goes, "Well, you're watching your house burn, and you're very calm for watching your house burn." And so he just kind of gave me this look, and he goes, "Were you in the military?" I said, "Yeah, I was." He goes, "What was your job?" And I tell him 11 Bravo. And he goes, "Oh, hey, me too." He goes, "Okay, were you deployed?" "Yeah." He goes, "So then you've seen worse than this." I said, "Yeah, my family, they're down the road. My dog's out of the house. My kids are out of the house. My
Yeah.
wife's gone." I said, "We're good. All this stuff is made in China, and it can be replaced. It's, nothing. We don't own any heirlooms. We didn't have a giraffe fur couch seat with well tusks."
Yeah, right.
We told the insurance that, though.
Yeah,
the guy
we did,
looked
as a
at us.
joke.
"How much does that cost?" I was like, "No, I'm just kidding.
We're
You don't have that."
kidding. So, well, here's the thing, too, is that, the house fire, we were having a fire in the fireplace, and it just, 3 hours later, I don't know, it broke out, like he said, out of the chimney. And then, so we ended up rebuilding the whole house. We, started over, we upgraded, we did a lot of really awesome things. The house was only 6 or 9 months old when we
9
moved
months.
in. I mean, so it wasn't even an old house. It was a brand new house. So here we go through the second build of this house. We put it all on solar. It was 100% efficient. We paid it was negative $70.
Bought more Chinese, Taiwan goods.
Yeah, we did.
To
We
fill
filled
the
it.
house with.
We didn't know what we wanted. We knew there was an emptiness. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of parts of me that I never want to meet again during something like that. Just having to deal with all the bullshit. But
It was the first tragic thing that ever happened in her life.
his deployment really was a big part of it. But yeah, I mean, this was the most loss I ever felt. I never lost a parent. I never lost a super best friend. It was very new, and our kids were, I guess, 4 and 7, 8 at the time.
Sounds right.
We had just it was the Black Friday after Thanksgiving, and we had just bought all this stuff for our kids.
No, we do not do Black Friday.
No, we don't. This one was it was later at night after all the panic and everything, and
I don't even think it was Black Friday.
Maybe it was Saturday.
Yeah,
Either way,
because there's no way I'm doing Black Friday.
So my parents were in town.
They're animals.
My parents were in town, and they'd watch the kids for us, and got all these leap pads. I mean, we did what typical American families do, and you're making a decent amount of money. We threw money at our kids and bought them a ton of toys, and then what happened is we lost everything, and it just kind of showed me my mom had just brought me my wedding dress, my grandfather's clock. Some snow globes, a lot of stuff that you don't want to lose, but guess what? It's gone now. So we spent the next 2 years really I remember looking at each other and just saying oh wait, we don't have that anymore. And you'd you'd think of something do we have that? No, that was before the house fire. And so we'd have to sit here and think about what do we really need with this insurance money, and we went out and bought it, right? Ryan actually didn't even buy anything for himself the first night other than a toothbrush, I think.
I think it was just a toothbrush.
Yeah, we were all in our nightgowns at Walmart.
I was in Crocs, shorts, and a long sleeve shirt. Yeah.
In Texas, Central Texas, and
so it was a little chilly.
We had a really awesome community though, and Ryan he made sure me and the girls were taken care of, and USAA insurance was amazing. They were
really
super
are.
great.
Yeah, they really are.
If you are in the military and can take advantage of that, even just for your kids to have. they were amazing, and they didn't make us feel like we were guilty of something, even though, I guess I hear a lot of horror stories about that. So I'm thankful for that. And anyway, there was a lot of loss of control during that whole process. Everything was in everybody else's hands. And, when you're building this house back, you're expecting this to be done with great care and thought, considering that the family that just left had lost everything. We moved back into this house. We were actually made to feel bad by the builder a few times, making us feel bad for him, even though we literally just lost everything. So anyway, me and Ryan pretty much vowed the next house that we built, it would be ourselves. And we were just tired of feeling that way. The first night back in our house, after waiting, how long did we wait?
7 months.
And the foundation didn't even have to get redone. It was engineered, scoped, everything was done.
We didn't need a septic. We didn't need another well drilled.
It didn't, so we were able to save some time, but it still took almost as long, just longer.
Should not have taken that much time.
So,
but first night,
the
what
freaking 3 o'clock in the morning, the fire alarms go off.
Faulty fire or smoke alarms.
Yeah. I didn't realize I had any anxiety from that, but I guess I shot up out of bed and I yelled, "Fire!" And I didn't know, and so I'm like running through the house, and then they tried to tell us the next day that it was because of the Febreze plugins.
Yeah.
On a 20-foot ceiling, by the way, may I add to you, the smoke alarm that was going off was on a 20-foot ceiling.
Yep.
But my Febreze plug-in 20 feet below was causing that. Found out, we Amazoned or reviewed all the fire alarms, and they were just shitty.
Oh, they were the worst smoke detectors. They were the worst smoke detectors. Yep. Yeah, he bought the cheapest one.
I was flabbergasted.
So we wanted to take this. That's what you were getting at.
Yeah.
Kind of going off topic here. So you wanted to take control back of your life, and
absolutely.
If you were going to have another home, you were going to build it yourself.
Yes.
You decided, I will build it. Problem was, we didn't know how to build anything yet.
And we didn't know where we wanted to be. We stayed in Central Texas, got a really nice house on some farmland. That's the one that burned down, because we had to be a certain radius for me to stay at my corporate job in Killeen. That was an hour away. So I had actually gotten fired a year after the house fire. fire, And this was like a huge soul-searching thing for me. Ryan had previously gotten retired a few years earlier from the Army. And so he had his own soul-searching. We had a lot of things going on. And come to find out, I started making
How old
candles.
Were we?
Oh, shoot. When Ryan retired, or you were in offshore and stuff in the early 20s. So
yeah, I was retired at 22.
The house fire was, we were 28 years old, 27 years old.
Okay.
27, I think. And
no,
so
it couldn't have been that because
it was within 10 years. It was 10 years of stuff. And we got married at 18. So we were 28. Yeah. And then
But we lived in that house for 4 years, correct?
We lived in it
afterwards?
for 3 years, yeah.
Okay.
I think. And anyway,
so we'd been 27.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but we'd been through a lot, and we had a lot of stuff. And though Ryan had talked about the hard drive earlier, so the only thing that was left from that house fire was a hard drive with all of our pictures, his pictures from Iraq, the kids being born, the wedding pictures, everything I downloaded.
Ooh, that one picture, the wedding picture, that was the only thing that didn't burn in the house.
That's right. Yeah, we had a picture of us, our marriage picture, and he was in his Class A's. I was in this beautiful gown, and all of our friends had signed the frame, and it was hanging at the edge of our steps, and that was one of the walls that didn't totally go down because the wind was blowing so bad that day, and that was one of the only pictures left on the wall. And I found my wedding ring after searching for 3 days, the only one out of 3, but I found it, and it was just really good omens. We learned that time. I remember the day searching through. We learned to celebrate the small victories. We learned to appreciate the small, exciting things in life that a lot of people
You remember digging through that house fire? It was the walls that you could just push them over, very delicately. I mean, and just the entire wall would go down in this house.
Oh my God!
But we literally sifted through the rubble, and people felt sorry for us.
Yeah,
Again, me personally, I just didn't have any kind of real emotional attachments. Everything that I had an emotional attachment to made it out of the fire, so we were good, or I was good at least.
Yeah.
But it was fun sifting through the rubble and finding things. You found your ring.
Yeah.
You lost a couple diamonds out of it.
Yeah.
The person that built our house, actually, his crew stole some of our stuff.
Oh my God.
And
Yes, they
that was
stole my
crazy.
grandfather's clock. It was burnt on the back.
Yeah.
They stole it.
And
took our fridge.
but yeah, people felt sorry for us, but we were just trying to find small victories within this, and we ended up finding, I don't know, canned foods and
medical supplies.
We brought some of that stuff back to the apartment. Yeah,
we there was actually all my casserole dishes and some recipe books I was given. Like you
still have one of those too, don't you?
I do. Everything smelled like smoke. We spent the kids went. My parents came back and picked up the kids for like 3 days so we could find an apartment and stuff, and we just washed and cleaned things that we brought out and everything. I couldn't eat barbecue for like a year or two after because it just smelled. All I could think of was the house fire, it just kind of taught us too that it's not really worth holding on to that stuff. So it was kind of like the best yard sale.
That's what we say. It was the best yard sale.
It really was. And everybody always like, oh, y'all have such a great attitude about it. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Just sit here and feel sorry for myself?
You can feel bad for yourself. Or you could put your big girl panties on.
And go.
Just be happy. Yeah.
Fucking do
It's
it.
not like we were not taken care of.
Oh, my God. We saved money.
The builder made a beautiful home.
Oh, he did. It was gorgeous.
We had trouble with it, still, for it being a new home. But again, I mean, just like since we've built this bus, we understand you can't think of everything.
You can't.
You aren't going to get everything right the very first time. And so... yeah, we got a beautiful home built out of it. It was the insurance company took very good care of us.
Wells Fargo property loss department can suck a dick because they were awful. I will never do mortgage through Wells Fargo again in my life.
So, it's either you look at the bad things in life or you can look at the positive things in life.
Absolutely.
And sure, we lost everything, materialistic wise.
But we have each other.
But yeah, we still had each other. We still found your ring. We found some, little nuggets of awesomeness sprinkled around the house. We still had all of the pictures from literally our whole life together.
That was really
because we just brought it for some weird reason from the bedroom, a week before to the kitchen.
It was weird.
And the way the wind was blowing, it kept the fire out of that kitchen. It did burn the stuff in the kitchen, but the kitchen took the less amount of damage. So now, once it was built, after the 3-alarm wake-up call from our smoke detectors, day one in the house, and the AC, I believe, didn't even work.
No, and we didn't have the refrigerator yet. There was a lot. We were like, fuck this, we're moving in,
So we piled this in with more, again, like I said, Chinese crap.
Yep.
And
our grown-up furniture, we spent thousands of dollars on this
I think it was $21,000 to refurnish that house.
Yes.
Yeah.
We bought our big boy, big girl bed and the big dining table, all this $5,000 couch. And then we watched a documentary. Then I got fired the next year, right? And then I started making candles. And
why did you get fired, by the way?
Oh, because I was looking
You were looking up
gardening websites.
Tomatoes.
Yeah, and
don't do that in corporate life, I guess.
Don't do it.
Heaven forbid.
Don't do it. Not when they're looking to lay people off. You will not get a severance pay. Anyway, so I jumped on the unemployment bandwagon for a year and looked for jobs near Austin. Nobody would hire me. I went actually on 7 interviews, I think, and never. So I said, fuck this. I'm going to start my own business. I always wanted to learn to make candles, so I started making soy candles. Ryan's buddy, Philip Kitts at Avid Imagery, I believe is what it is. He came out and...
Avid Visual Imagery?
Yes, he did some awesome commercials with us, amazing pictures. I never even used any of them. I maybe was going through some things, and I feel really bad. I did.
He spent a lot of time, money, and effort. Yeah.
And I felt really bad about that, too. My mom, she actually was working on my website, and I think... I wanted to just make candles. I don't think I was ready for the business side, but I learned a lot from that experience, more than my degree in business even taught me. And I got halfway through my master's actually that previous year and just quit because I was like, what the fuck am I learning here? I need to just run a business is what I need to do. So I did that, and I didn't fail. I just closed it down when we decided to move tiny.
No, I actually think you made more than you actually put into it.
Oh, I did, absolutely. And we also at the time...
Maybe would have been like $60 after, paying yourself back for all the money you threw into the business. But hey, it's a win.
It was definitely a win.
It's a small bunt.
I did well.
We'll take a bunt.
I was an LLC and all that stuff, so I had to pay money when I wasn't making money, but it was okay. You know what? I learned. And so at the time, too, though, we also moved out in the country on 3 acres on this property that burned down and stuff because we wanted to live intentionally, and we started chickens,
aquaponics, aeroponics.
We used tilapia and catfish for the aquaponic system in our
raised
garage.
garden beds.
turkeys, ducks. We did the Muscovy ducks because they don't quack; they actually hiss, and so they're great if you live in a small community. It didn't really matter for us.
They're good guard ducks too.
They are great.
They're aggressive.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
And they don't quack, so you don't know they're coming. They're like ankle biter ducks.
They are. So we had this amazing little homestead 45 minutes north of Austin in the middle of farming country.
You got to tell them the chicken story.
Okay, so the chicken story is...
We're a little competitive.
Yeah, we are very competitive. We are high school sweethearts. We used to play basketball together a lot. And
I always won.
Shut the fuck up. I actually had to wear a T-shirt to school one day because I lost. Anyway, so we'll do that another day. So anyway, so the competition was how many... we didn't start incubating chickens. We bought 10. From like Tractor Supply or somewhere. Maybe it was online. McMurray
Hatchery, I think is where it was.
McMurray Hatchery. They were really nice. They actually got us our turkeys a few months later, but it's because we wanted a specific breed. Yeah. The Narragansett and the
white dwarf?
Midget white. Midget white turkey. So we had those two. So we started off with the chickens, and we did start off with some rabbits, and that ended horribly into cannibalism.
Oh, Jesus.
It was the farm of death. At that time, we didn't figure out how to make things stay
while
alive.
we were learning. But so the story with the chickens is...
so basically, you could incubate 40 eggs at a time, and I put in 40. I got 20 or 18 out of it, I think. Or
you got like 12. Yeah, it was low.
Maybe 14. Okay, so whatever.
I was disgusted with your
There was
results.
a lot of death at the time. So Ryan's like, I'm going to do
better.
This. Anything you can do, I can do better.
That's right.
So he does it. And he... hatches all 40 chickens. So
Boom.
We had 10. I hatched 14 at 24. He hatches 40.
Out of 40.
We have like 64 chickens.
And that's still not good enough.
And so then I'm like,
she has to
jacked.
be better.
I'm like, you can't have 40. So I get 40, and so now we have over 100 chickens.
At one time, we had over 178 because remember, it started off with 10 chickens that had to get to, they had to grow. So we only really had 10 chickens at this time.
That were actually
out walking around that you could see. The other ones were in the garage under a heated lamp.
Right.
But we had a bunch of Rubbermaid totes, and we never just really took a head count because we got too big into the competition of who can get 40 out of 40 and how many times. It got to the point where we had 178 chickens.
That's crazy.
And then all of a sudden, we realized, wait a minute, these are going to grow up and be big chickens too, running around this yard. So now we had 12 rabbits, 178 chickens, aquaponics system. We had 12. Yeah, we had, in the end, we had 12 turkeys, 12 ducks. And then we realized, wait a minute. And then it started going downhill because we had too much we were trying to deal with. So
we were trying to learn too much. We went from that, we were kind of in that prepper mentality a few years before, and we were like kind of storing stuff, which is nothing wrong with that. I totally think you should have food insurance and medical supplies.
If you come from the South, you do it every year during hurricane season, and if you don't...
Deep freeze. Yeah, you're a stupid ass. You're the dumbass that gets saved by National Guard, and then 4 people die trying to save you because you're fucking stupid. So... we believe in just insurance of all kinds. So, we had some beans and rice stored. But here's the thing with preppers. They have all these seeds, and they don't know how to grow anything. They don't know how to actually produce their own meat.
Some.
Yeah, but not all of them. No, you're absolutely right. But there's just those, like, I'm going to
can't be painting these broad strokes,
no, you're right. He keeps me on track.
You're smart. You're more intelligent than that.
He keeps me on track. But
we did notice because we did have other prepper friends, and they just kept storing, tens of thousands of dollars into, these weapons.
Rice.
These seeds, and they didn't know how to shoot. They didn't know how to grow anything. They didn't have any way to,
make
do
food,
anything.
Sustain yourself. Like, who wants to eat beans and rice for 10 years? Like, if there was some kind of crazy nuclear thing, like, who would want to do that? Nobody. So we were like, we wanted to produce our own food. We wanted our kids to have clean, healthy lives. Unfortunately, they
got to watch baby chickens hatch while they were eating breakfast before school.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
They got to see new babies being born. Yeah, and they saw a lot of babies die too. And the ones that we actually tried to help out of the shells died. Most of them didn't make it. I would say probably 1 in 10 made it. And so we had to just stop helping babies out. So
no, none of them. Anyone that could not get out of its shell that we tried to help,
they probably died like a week later.
Yeah, so we stopped doing that.
we successfully hatched one turkey egg, but we only tried incubating turkeys, I think, twice. I think maybe we just didn't have the humidity levels right. But there's a lot of science that goes to it.
We
But
mastered chickens, though.
we did. And so we had aquaponics with tilapia and catfish. We had a lot of peppers and tomatoes growing. And then we decided to just kind of minimalize. We were kind of taking a lot on. There was a lot of death going on. So we minimalized it. So everything was great. We were making money. We were selling chickens. We were selling the eggs, fertilized, unfertilized. We got really good at candling, so we could sell fertilized eggs to people that wanted to hatch their own babies.
Your candles.
My candles. I was canning tons of chicken meat. We processed about 10 chickens a week just to get our numbers back down to where we only had maybe 10 or 20 chickens. We had Plymouth Barred Rocks and Rhode Island Reds.
Yep.
Those are the best ones, that egg laying and Plymouth Barred Rocks for meat producing. And
So now, about that video, let's go back to there.
which video? I forgot already.
The Netflix video.
Okay, yeah. So
I think it was on Netflix.
It was on Netflix. It's on YouTube now. I don't think they have it anymore. But it's called, we started contemplating what should we do with life, basically, one of those. We found a documentary called Tiny, The Art of Living Small.
I think that's what it was, yeah.
And it was about this kid who knew nothing, and he did like 3 months. He projected 3 months to build a tiny house, and it didn't take him 3 months. It took him like a year. And we were like, man, if this kid can do that, we can do that. And it just, everything kind of clicked together for us, I think, at that point.
I think we took stock of our lives, though. We realized, we had a big income.
Yeah.
But we also had a large amount of expenses, too.
Yeah.
So our expenses were damn near where our income level was.
Yeah.
And it was, we could do better than this. We could have more fun than this.
And also, too, here's the thing. We'd cut our grass. We'd be on riding lawn mowers cutting our grass. And we were in the middle of crop country, so there's planes flying over with Monsanto pesticides, Monsanto fertilizers, spraying all the fields all around us. And I'm tasting it in my mouth. And all I could think of is Aaron Brockovich and like a tumor growing on the side of my face, or my kids having tumors, or something being awful. We had a private well, but I don't know how long this land has been farmed, So
it was depleted. We actually sent in samples.
We did soil tests because we planted how many trees before we moved in the second time after the fire?
36
No, it was
trees.
like 50-something trees. It was
50,
like peaches and lemons and nut trees and tons of stuff, and most of it died, right? We did the soil test finally, like dumbasses later on. There's nothing in this soil.
Nothing.
It is nothing. And we have been dumping chicken poop and rabbit poop and trying to do the compost and trying to get this on the trees and everything. It just wasn't enough. We had to go to Miracle Grow, and I just stopped at then. I was like, freak this, dude. I'm tired of trying to do it naturally, but you can't because these people have depleted this entire soil.
So that video, I think, really refocused us. It really made us think back of the fire and realize, how lucky we were to actually go through that process, because it made us consider all that we had just gone through, how important it really was not to lose all of that stuff, because we just filled this big house back with more stuff. And did we do it for us, or did we do it to impress other people? And we just kept coming to the conclusion, I think we did it for everybody else, not really for ourselves. So
that's true.
We, one night,
Jonesing it up.
We like to, when we get into really good conversations with each other, we really get sit on the bed Indian style and stare at each other. No, just kidding. We were smoking joints and sitting probably Indian style on the bed, and we were like, you know what? We got to do this tiny house thing. The only problem was we just didn't have a vehicle like a diesel truck or anything to, haul something that large. So while we were smoking our joints, we think that we come up with this concept of why don't we just convert a school bus? Again, we forgot all about the hippies in the 60s and 70s. We just invented this. Thought
this is us. This is our all about idea.
And so we sat and contemplated this all night until, I don't know, sun came up. We finally go to bed.
It was one of those long night talks.
Yeah. And then we wake up and decide to actually do a small amount of research on bus conversions, and quickly found out we did not invent this at all.
And there wasn't many people doing it then. And this was 2015 or 2014, actually.
Yep.
Yeah. The Good News Bus was the main one. They had a slideshow of pictures.
Yeah,
and he was talking like wild. And I was like, oh my God, we can do this, And we just started minimalizing our life. You know, we realized that the more stuff we had, the like more weighed down we felt.
Yeah.
And that is like so parroting like every other minimalist in the book. We still have a storage locker of stuff. It's mostly outdoor stuff.
So about 8 months before that, though, remember, we did that pallet business.
Oh my God. So yeah, we found that liquidation factory and got some Amazon returns and made triple our money on the pallet that we just resold.
You know what the guy's advice, though, was the best advice ever. Piece out everything. If you have, I'm making stuff up here, guys, but like, let's say you have 6 Legos, okay? And instead of selling that as a bundle, literally take each individual Lego piece and sell it for more.
Yes.
And so we had a lot of, leapfrog tablets. And so we would just whore out the lanyards. Just the lanyard. Then we would whore out the actual pins, and some people just needed the actual battery. Oh yeah, the battery little tray.
Compartment. Yep. Yeah, it was pieced out, and we actually made our money made
a lot more
really
than we
fast.
invested into it. So that already put us in the mindset. Once we figured out we're going to do this schooling life now, and we are going to just start selling everything that we just bought. And so we took off to eBay again.
Yeah.
We took off to, Craigslist. This was before Let Go, Offer Up, all those things.
It was just those
And
two
we just started
platforms.
piecing out every single thing that we just decided that we did not need. We had, I don't know how big our DVD collection was.
I know, even after the fire, we just hoarded a ton of DVDs, but we are huge movie buffs.
Yeah, we like the movies.
You'll know. We'll be quoting movies, and if you don't get it, you better watch them.
Yeah. And so then, we sold off, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did.
Still have a lot.
Thousands of dollars of stuff, and that we made back, actually. We made $3,000 off the $5,000 couch. It was a beautiful couch. But we didn't, we kept all of our homesteading stuff, canning stuff. We kept washer and dryer.
Then bought a bus.
It was all energy efficient. And then, we bought the bus with all of our profits. Yeah. And it was $4,700. Ryan found it out of 4 in Phoenix. He flew down to Phoenix, picked up the bus, and drove it back.
Yep.
And it was amazing. I didn't think that he's driven a striker vehicle in the Army before, so he has driven a big armored type vehicle.
It's still intimidating though.
Absolutely.
Driving this bus.
And that's what I want to talk about too in another podcast. Is really
it's 40 feet long.
Yeah.
It weighs 26,000 pounds.
Yeah.
It's like the Wu-Tang Clan. Nothing to fuck with. You can do a lot of damage, and if you don't understand the responsibility you have behind that wheel,
absolutely,
or you just don't even appreciate the time and effort that you put into building that house, then you're probably not going to be nervous. But if you do appreciate that and you do accept your responsibility driving something that big, that heavy, then you're going to be a little nerve-wracked until I'll still to this day start it up, drive 20 minutes down the road with a little bit of nerves, and then finally settle in and get comfy. But anytime I'm in a city, I'm definitely nervous.
Absolutely. So, basically even too,
that's
something else, we also, we weren't homeschooling at that time either. Our kids were in school while we were running our homestead and all this stuff, but we decided that we wanted to travel, actually. We're going to go to Germany and visit our friends in Germany, and the kids were still in school. And then we decided to start. He actually talked me into homeschooling. I started doing some research on YouTube, and then we started doing that. And then that didn't really even seem to fit.
Is what actually made us. Yeah, there was one near our kids' school in Texas when that outbreak happened.
They locked it down.
Was, just one day thinking, you know what? If my kid comes home with Ebola one day just because I didn't want to pull them out of school, I have to take 100% responsibility for that. So fuck that. They're coming home, and we're not going to play this game anymore.
We had been researching that whole year too, though, and I had been buying some curriculum that I liked. So we were prepared for it. It wasn't like, oh, there's Ebola. No, that was the catalyst, to just make all this happen. So we homeschooled for that whole year. My oldest was in 4th grade. My youngest was in kindergarten, and they had previously been in private school, public school. My youngest was in pre-K. So they had kind of an intro to the public school system. And we'll do a podcast just on homeschooling because that's its own beast. But, so whenever we decided to do the tiny house life because of the minimalism and editing your life, it just really worked out. We realized with homeschooling that we really appreciated the time that we had with our kids, and that, but we were really house rich, and so we would just sit in this house and do all
house
this
rich,
stuff.
cash poor,
and we would do this stuff, and we were not going to put things on credit cards. We were just not. That's not who we are. So, forget that. So we wanted to be debt free. We wanted time with our family. We wanted to experience adventures together. And we wanted to look for a new homestead. We wanted to pay cash for it. We didn't want to have to be in debt and owe anybody anything. We wanted it to be ours. And we wanted to know that if we built something, if it broke, it's my fucking fault. It's my fault.
Because we put it there.
Yeah. And if not, but I know me, I'm not going to put my family at risk. I'm going to do everything I can and do the research and know. So, because I'm the only one that cares about my kids, nobody else gives a shit about your kids. Just so you know, guys, you are the only one that gives a shit about your kids. So you're only going to be the ones with the highest, respect for their safety and for their, what's
their
being
education,
provided.
their well-being, their financial intelligence, everything.
It is nobody's responsibility but yours. Not the schools, not the government, nobody. It's yours. So, yeah, so that was kind of it. We wanted to be debt-free. So we sold the house after a year of waiting. We had bought the bus probably 9 months before the actual house was sold. It was, like I said, $4,700, 200,000 miles on it, DT 466 engine. Ryan actually got a scan gauge off of Amazon. It was $100?
I think it was around $200.
Okay, $150 at $200.
Scan gauge D Delta.
And he plugged it into each of these buses the international dealer had, and he went with the one with the least amount of codes, and this one had no codes. So we said, you're a winner, because we're not mechanics. And he drove it home. And so we started tearing everything out. We ripped it down. Everybody said to tear it down all the way bare metal, which we did. We treated rust. We got a bunch of leaks out of the ceiling because of that. Thank God. We had hellacious rains that year, so we were able to check it. We foam insulated it. We did all that after we sold the house. So the bus sat there, and we just treated leaks for 6 months, I think, because we didn't really have any money to throw at the actual project. But we could renovate like a motherfucker. Don't get me wrong. My husband is a professional. Folks, a professional door kicker inner dude. He can take anything out if he wants to.
We got this.
He did, man. He took a lot of rivets out of that ceiling. Got it ready.
Yep.
Getting it ready. Then that bus was like a spaceship for my kids. It was always an airplane or a ship or something different every day. It was cool watching their imaginations go free. But the big thing is we were searching for happiness. We were literally Declaration of Independence in pursuit of happiness.
Sure.
In pursuit of land.
Well said. I like that.
I like that history.
You just came up with that on the spot, huh?
Bam! It always does. That's all the good shit comes from, on the spot.
Yeah, you kind of have that face of a president that just realizes they got something right.
Yes!
Oh yeah, I got that one. And just kept going with it.
I didn't say anything inappropriate. That's awesome. So, yeah, so we decided to create our future. And do you remember what people said when we were we bought a bus? What did Jim say?
I don't remember.
Okay, so Ryan, we're
like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we were talking
Why?
about building a bus. Okay, cool, brother man, whatever you're going to do.
Oh, yeah, he didn't think we were going to do it. Yeah, he definitely was pat on the back oh, that's cool, man. I can't wait to see that. Yeah,
you're going to live in a bus. Awesome. And because we are dreamers, we're a bit of dreamers. We like to talk about stuff a little bit before we do it. And
definitely. I like being a dreamer, though.
Yeah, you know what? We do. We've
done some really big things, so being dreamers.
Absolutely. And it just takes balls. It does. And you know what? At that point, we were like, what do we have to lose?
Nothing.
We had nothing to lose. I lost my job.
If this doesn't work out, you're telling me I just go back into debt, get another home mortgage for another house? I have nothing to lose.
Oh, my God.
I can do this all again.
Oh, my God. And that would be insanity, right? So we're like, we got to try something totally different. Totally different. So, thankfully, we minimalized our bills down. Ryan's retired, so we had his retirement, and we just said we could suck at life right now and just suck it up but be with our kids on different places, different adventures, and still be looking for a place to put roots. So this adventure started. We thought it was only going to take 3 months to do the bus. It ended up taking a year and a half.
Yeah.
But she is amazeballs, guys. She's everything I never thought she would be.
Really is the best house I've ever lived in. I honestly like this and have more of an attachment to this house than any other house.
Any house. It doesn't matter.
I know how it works. I know how she functions. I know when something's wrong, what's wrong, where it's at, how to fix it.
How much energy we're using. And we had solar panels on our rebuild.
By the way, this podcast is being brought to you 100% solar powered.
Solar.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. How many people know how much energy they use in a day or how much water they use?
Yeah.
It's unintentional. You don't really mean to be that aware of your footprint on Earth, but it kind of comes with the lifestyle, whether you want it to or not.
We're definitely not hippies.
No, we're
not.
not.
Somebody actually
We're
described
not.
us.
Oh my God.
So when we were in West Texas building this bus, there was an electrician friend of ours who said one night out drinking, he was like, yeah, man, the people from, was it Borderline, whatever, electrical. He asked us, I met those people. Are they rednecks or are they hippies? And so I guess they just said, you know what? I think they're right down the middle of a redneck and a hippie.
Because we would open
and I'll
carry.
take both.
We
I'll take
open
it.
carried our guns in Texas at the time. It just became legal to open carry. We had our CHL license before, but so we would open carry our guns into these electrical stores, and they would be like, well, they have guns, so they believe in guns. They can't be hippies, but they're living in a bus, so they can't be rednecks. Like, I don't know, maybe they're just hillbillies. But it was great. You know, we had met a lot of people interested in the project. We actually had a Pizza Hut guy come by one time, and he was a contractor. He used to build cabinets, and he was like, these are beautiful cabinets.
Yeah, we had 3 contractors,
Yeah. And Ryan was building these cabinets. We watched this northern dude on YouTube. We were YouTube University students.
Packet holes.
He taught us all about the Craig jig and the packet hole.
Yeah.
That packet hole gets you, and they're really great. Oh, my God. These cabinets are stout, man. And we built these. We did go into Home Depot. We were gonna buy some off the shelf, but
they were made so cheaply, man. So cheaply.
It's like fake wood. I don't know. So anyway, this is what we did. This is where we're at. And that's kind of like the whole reason we did this.
Hope you guys liked listening to our needless ramblings.
Yeah, and a little bit about us. You kind of maybe hopefully get a little bit of our personality. I curse like a sailor if you haven't picked up on that.
You know, I think a lot of people, they see you on the Chitty Bang website or even, your Morgan Crabtree Facebook, and they're just like, oh, look at her. She is so pretty and probably such a woman.
Elegant lady.
You're a fucking lady is what you are.
I'm a fucking lady. I'm a coon ass. I don't have a thick accent, but I bleed the coon blood.
Yeah.
That's what the Cajun cycles, guys. And Ryan's actually from California.
Yeah.
He's Bakersfield. So it's kind of like
originally from Porterville.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So he's kind of like the hillbilly of California, from what I've been told.
I guess. Okay.
Well, they got the oil field over there. They got the cows. I mean, it's kind of like mini Texas. Because what it reminded me of. It reminded me of West Texas. What's part of California.
Oh, yeah. When we drove through it?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I get that.
And anyway, I got him to fall in love with the South.
I did. She did.
I converted him, you guys.
She got me.
So, yeah, I hope you guys appreciated just the different things that everybody's going to have their own story. Everybody's going to have their own reasons. Don't do it for the likes, you guys. It is not about social media likes. It's about living your best life.
Absolutely.
It's about doing what makes you happy.
Learning, building, discovering.
Being with your family, being there as a parent in any way you can. And you know what? You're going to appreciate the stories you have with your kids, not the things you bought them or the stuff that you have. It's all about the time. And we were able to do that with this bus. And we'll definitely talk about the bad parts. We'll talk about the good parts and everything in between. And we hope you guys continue to listen and
teach your kids to, and if you are the kid, of a parent, I mean, learn to build your future.
Absolutely.
Do not consume your future. Okay.
Absolutely, you guys. I'm going to leave you guys with a couple of mottos, one from me, one from Ryan. And it's going to be teamwork makes the dream work.
And if you can dream it, you can build it. Thanks for listening, guys.
Later.
We're coming to you from our 49 square foot podcast studio, 100% powered by solar in our schooly Chitty Bang.
You can find our shenanigans online at CrabsHomestead.com and Talking Chitty on Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow our schooly life on Facebook at Chitty Bang Schooly and Instagram at the Crabs Homestead.